Hey everyone, welcome to the Captain's Log tonight. And I want to start by asking you the thought provoking question that will hopefully draw you into the rest. Tonight's Captain's Log is called One Less Day. What do I mean by that? Have you ever noticed how often we tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow, without realizing that tomorrow is borrowing from a very limited account? So here we go. Think about that while we go into this. And as you know already, with the new setup, I've got to watch my mic. I still don't have things wired properly. So we might have little glitches here and there. If I ever blank out, I'm watching the mic icon, and if it goes off, I'll hit it right away, so we'll recover quickly. So here we go. Captain's Log. Captain's Log, one less day. Now, I drew this from, I was just talking to a good old friend of mine, Bill Murphy, and I mentioned that I saw this particular post today that hit me in a very different way than I've ever thought of it. I saw this post, and it's one of those throwaway lines that you kind of scroll by without thinking, except this one kind of stopped me cold. It said, don't look at today as a new day. Look at today as one less day. And now, before you bristle, before your shoulders tighten, your mind goes dark, this wasn't the point that wasn't the point they were making. It wasn't a doom and gloom post. It was clarity, because we love to say tomorrow is a new day, and it is, but it's also one fewer than we had yesterday. From the moment we're born, we know this. We've heard this a million times. Every day is one day closer to the day we're gone, the day we die. So life isn't pausing for us to get our footing. It doesn't stop while we heal. It doesn't slow down while we figure things out. The clock keeps sailing on. It's steady. It's indifferent. It doesn't care. It's just honest. And strangely, that's not depressing. That can be very motivating for us. And that's the one thing I've thought through all of my stuff of this last year, is time still keeps moving. Time doesn't care about my leg, my marriage, my relationship, my heartaches, my sicknesses. Same for all of you. Time doesn't stop for us. It keeps moving. It's not indifferent. It's not moral. It's amoral. It has no moral value. It just moves on. So because when you realize today is one less day, something shifts. You stop postponing your life. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop saying, once this clears up, then I'll begin. Now, there's a danger in saying that, in that some people might take that as, oh, well, then I should just proceed on the things I've decided to do. But time moving on and taking advantage of the time and doing the things you need to do to not postpone your life also have to be balanced with something we talk about here every day: truth, honesty, and wisdom. As you proceed, knowing that that next day out is going to be one less day I have to accomplish what I want to be or become what I need to be, make sure that your decisions aren't just emotively based, that they aren't something that you do just because you want to change or something that you do because you're uninformed. Inform yourself. Use truth and honesty. Don't rely on falsehoods. Don't rely on self-deception. Don't rely on anything other than letting wisdom come in the door and sit with you in the room while you make your decisions. Because this, right now, is the clearing. One less day doesn't mean you rush to make decisions. It doesn't mean you panic. It means you pay attention. It means you ask better questions. Am I showing up as myself today or just serving the hours? Am I living from intention or am I living out of reaction? Am I living because my decisions matter or because I'm afraid somebody will think less of me and I'll lose face if I change my mind after incorporating truth and honesty and applying wisdom? Am I guarding what matters or am I bleeding energies into things that don't? One less day doesn't mean you suddenly fix everything. Your marriage still might be complicated. Your health still might be fragile. Your body may still carry scars. Your plans may still be uncertain. But here's the thing. You don't need to solve your whole life today. You only need to inhabit it. But fully, honestly, wisely, presently. Because today doesn't ask you to conquer the mountain. It asks you to take a real step. And by real step, not step into, how would you word this? Not a step into unclarity, not a step into, well, this is what I want to do and I'm resolved. Not a step into something that is uninformed by truth and honesty and wisdom. And a real step taken consciously is worth more than 1,000 perfect tomorrows that will never arrive. So one less day reminds us that life isn't a rehearsal. You don't get to do it over again. And you have to value the things that are valuable. Weigh out your decisions because tomorrow's one less day. This isn't the warm-up lap. This isn't the holding pattern. This is the voyage. And where are you in that? What serves to man the crew of your voyage? No matter how battered your ship looks, no matter how many repairs are still underway, you are still underway. So maybe, just maybe today, you have to choose to speak kindly to yourself, especially. But maybe today you choose to forgive without announcing it. Maybe today you choose to rest without guilt. Maybe today you choose courage, not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that just keeps moving forward with wisdom as your guide. Because one less day doesn't mean less hope. It means hope matters now. It means tomorrow you can build something new without relying on the old. It means love matters now. It means presence matters now. And someday, far from now, I hope, we'll look back on our life and realize it wasn't the big victories that shaped us most. It was the ordinary days that we chose not to waste, that we chose not to squander on decisions that we make, on things that we do, on people that we bring in, people that we leave out, without applying truth and honesty. Not our version of truth and honesty, but real truth and honesty that opens up the door to wisdom to come into the room. Tomorrow is one less day. So make the best of it. And the word's been given on this. I've got some affirmations for us. I do not postpone my life. I live it where I stand. And where I stand will be governed by truth and honesty and wisdom. I honor this day, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. I eschew all that is false, all that is manufactured, all that is simple desire over what is real and what is clean and what is clear. I move forward at my own pace with intention and self-respect. I do not let anybody make me do anything that I have not processed through the filters of truth, honesty, and wisdom. I do not let echo chambers make me feel ashamed if I need to change my course, because I need to live real in today. I do not lose face if I come upon clarity. I do not lose standing because I have reckoned with truth, honesty, and wisdom. And I do not let anybody who does not have to live in my circumstances tell me what I should be doing. I choose presence over postponement. I remember that today matters. Here's a benediction for us. May you treat this day not as a burden, but as a gift with edges. May you walk gently with time without fear of it. May you spend today wisely, not in urgency, but in truth. Take your time. Anything rushed to resolve does not bring you resolve. It brings instability and lack of character or clarity. So take your time. And may you rest tonight knowing that you did not abandon yourself on this watch. The word has been given. Stay the course. Now, those of you still here, we're going to open up the captain's cabin. You can call in. We can talk. We can have conversations about anything we want to talk about. And if you're over there in Instagram listening somewhere else, I want you to be able to come on over here and join us. So go over to the YouTube channel and join us over there. And you should see the link. If you don't, it's in Facebook. The link is too hard to disseminate over the airwaves. So just go to my YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com/ I think it's just Scotty Roberts. So go on over there. Join this program already in progress over there. Bye-bye to my Instagram friends. I'm going to shut them down now. And here we go. All right, folks. Here we are. It's just us. We are now out of the captain's log. We are in the captain's cabin. And we're ready to roll. What's on your mind? I'm going to one time right now paste the invitation if you want to come into the studio with me and come on camera, come on audio, whatever you want to do. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. I show mine every day. Come on. Come on. So come on in and join us. Those of you who have been here before, you might be here again. I'm going to start going through some of the comments, and we're going to take it from there. So I'm going to go way back, see what people have to say. So some of these might be out of timing, sync, and context. Let's roll with it here. Everybody's saying hi. Barbie D, I see you there. Roger, I see you. And Steph Cuervo Queen, I see you over there. Good evening to you as well. Your sound is great tonight, says Barbie D. Thank you. So far, it's held up, knock on wood. Let's see. And it's all, by the way, I explained this a little bit last night. It's just a hub, an external hub I have to plug my soundboard into so it routes properly into my computer. And that should hold it. So far, once again, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it. Microphone and soundboard have held steady. Let's see. Field guy is here. He says, okay, I'm here. We can start now. You were 4 minutes late, brother. I was already rolling. Hawk is here. Good to see you, brother. If you want to come into the chat, Hawk, the link is, no, I didn't post it. It's sitting there ready to be posted. There it is. There is the link. And it officially starts when I'm here. It says, yeah, Michelle Canham Freedom is here. Good to see you. And Hawk says, I hope you're all having a good day. And sup, Steph, says Hawk. I think Steph saw that. Field guy, I think a lot of things, but I don't know what they are. Yeah, I get that. I have days like that too. Elderberry is here. Good to see you, Elderberry. Rapid Dog is in the room. Positive Step, he says. Steffi, oh Steph. Wherefore art thou, says Elderberry. Michelle Canham Free says, don't try and live your life in one day. Great 80s tune by Howard Jones. There you go. And Steph says, Scotty, dang it, you're making me think about a situation with this topic. Good. I think about my situations all the time. And why I said that was so profound today is we always look at that phrase the other way around. Tomorrow is, or today is the first day of the rest of your life. Well, that's the very positive. The spin on that is today is one less day you have to make it to the end of your life. So what are you going to do with it? Oh, what else we got? Barbie D, Steph, Field Guy. I'm just looking through your comments. Michelle Canham Free says, I live each day like it's simultaneously my first and last day here. Childlike wonder and essence. Field Guy says, I'll get better, I'm sure. Yeah. Let's see if there's anything profound. Amen, Scotty, says Steph Cuervo Queen at 9:14. I'm not sure where I was in the dialogue at that point, but thank you. Rendell Flagg is here. Good to see you, Rendell. And let's see. Pamela Zaspel-Torreson. Pamola is in the house. Pamela, you weren't here last night. I wore a shirt specifically for you. I think it's laying over in my laundry pile. I'll show you. Or I'll just wear it another night. I don't know which. Let's see. Let me go grab it. I got to show you because you weren't here last night. Ah. Okay. Okay, here we are. You ready? Pamela is in the house. This is the shirt I wore for you last night. I put it on, and I immediately thought of you. Go figure. But here's why. Shazam. There it is. That was the shirt I had on last night. under my jacket. I thought you'd appreciate it. Boom. Pamela, your nickname is Ula? Is it Ula or Allah? Ula. Ooh la la. Let's see. I love it, she says. Yes, I knew you would. So, glad you're here tonight. Good to see you. So, everybody, one more time, I'm going to paste the link for tonight to get into the studio. Call in if you want to call in. And if nobody calls in tonight, it's just going to be me the whole time. So you're going to have to put up with me. And so there. Eula. Oh, it's Eula, says Pamela. It's pronounced Eula. Nice. Okay. I'll remember that now. Memento mori, Captain. Memento mori. I kind of know what that means. Interpret that for me. I know what a memento is. More. Is that like love? Like a shortened amore? It's amore. I don't know. What does memento mori mean? Is it like muy macho? Or does that mean like more manly? That kind of a phrase? Give me an interpretation there, Michelle. And by the way, if you're over on Facebook watching this, if you're commenting over on Facebook, I see them, but not everybody else does. It's this weird interface between Facebook and YouTube where the comments are showing up, where the main chat room is. So if you're over there and you're commenting over there, well, I see Eula's posts over on Facebook. And they're coming over here into the YouTube chat room. YouTube is the best way to make sure you're actually here. And what happened here? There we are. I couldn't find my window to get back to it. So, oh, it's my credo. It's Latin for remember you must die. That's profound. Let's get that tattooed. Memento mori. Remember you must die. And man, ain't that the truth? So decisions we make, the things we do, if we kept in the forefront of our minds that every decision I'm going to make is one that I have imbued with honesty, one that I have imbued with the long look of where I'm heading, where this trajectory is going, that would revolutionize who we are. I put up a post last week sometime that said, imagine what our lives would be like if we just got out of the way. And what I meant by that is pretty much what we're talking about tonight. Michelle's credo, remember you must die. That's if we just get out of the way of ourselves, meaning how many of the decisions we make of great import would we make the way we're making them now if we were just out of the way of ourselves and did what we knew was right and good and true and honest and wise? That's the things we need to do. What's that? Michelle Canham Free says, I already have La Dolce Vita tattooed between my upper shoulder blades. Nice. Now, what does that mean again? I've seen that phrase before. La Dolce. Dolce is Vita. Vita is truth, or is that veritas? It's a variation. Okay, tell us, what does La Dolce Vita mean? What's the interpretation of that in Latin? I used to have a Latin phrase. I'm wondering if I can still find it here. Let me see. Open. Scroop. I got to look for something here. And I don't know where it is. Yep, here it is. When I was at the Renaissance Festival years ago, my character was Edmund Scroop, the Duke of Abergavenny, Wales. Thrice a bastard, thrice, I got to read my own words here, thrice a cousin, thrice removed by, oh, I can't read it. It's too small. Let me open it up. So it was Edmund Scroop, Duke of Abergavenny, Wales, thrice a bastard, thrice a cousin, thrice removed by marriage. There you go. And my saying was this. How many of you know Latin out there? How many of you know Latin? My saying was, and I hope I'm pronouncing my Latin right here, Commodo amito mus arietia, mus oritia, or oritia ego teneo, case ego sum effectus. You know what that means? Anybody? So, or do you get the gist of it? Do you know your Latin? And let's see if I've got one that's got the direct interpretation on it. So these were back in my days when I was younger, had dark hair, was in better shape, and also, leather clad, in our leather get-ups with the silver lions and the fleur-de-lis and the swords and the black velvet tights and the over-the-knee black leather boots. We were swaggerers, and I was the right-hand man to the king at that time. And the royal prince had started, and then he became the king. And, La Dolce Vita, the sweet, beautiful life, says Michelle Cannon-Free. So I'm going to read this again. Does anybody know what this means? Can you sound it out? Commodo amito mus oritia ego teneo case ego sum effectus. Anybody have an idea? I'll give you the loose translation as and this is why I'm describing our characters. And I'll show you just a quick picture of my character back then. This is almost 26 years ago now when I was playing this character. Let's find it. I think you've seen this before. Scroop. Here I am. Hopefully it's not too small to see. There it is. So that was the character I played back in those days. And I'm going to remove this banner so you can see. Well, it's not the whole picture. But the silver, the black velvet tights and the big black leather boots, etc. And it was all pretty tongue-in-cheek. You know, the king, we were the ne'er-do-well, womanizing, but charming royals. That's what we played. So that was my character back then. Now, what my Latin phrase means, and I'll read it to you one more time. Commodo amito mus oritia ego teneo case ego sum effectus. And that basically meant this. Let go of my ears, I know what I'm doing. So there you go. Anything in Latin can sound high and mighty. And so that was high and mighty back in the day. So, why, thank you, Michelle. I look epic. Michelle says, bah. So, Pamela Zaspel, Eula, she whistled. Thank you. Appreciate that. You know, there are days, aren't there days you wish you could look like you did 25 years ago? Or had the presence of physical body that you had 25 years ago? That would sure be nice, wouldn't it? I was about 40 years old in that picture. So, oh, to be 40 again. I never thought I'd hear myself saying that. So I see you one more time. Oh, to be 40 again. And that was the year I was 40, playing out at the festival. And I'd been there for many years at that point. Nope, look better now. Thank you, Michelle Random Cannon Free. Randall Flagg says, hell yeah. Pamela Zaspel says, every single day. And of course, as you all know, now my hair is starting to grow back. Boom. Can you see it in the light? All my white. But then it's growing in here. It's darker. Maybe that's because I always put a little bit of toning tanner on the top of my head so I don't look white, pale, something than a bald guy with pale skin. So I put a little of that on there and blend it in so it holds a little color and tone. Yeah. Steph says, holding on to the ears so you don't fall off. Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, let go of my ears. I know what I'm doing. So, and that's the way we were. We swaggered out on the street. And like I said, we were the womanizing ne'er-do-well, but well-dressed and charming as hell. So, we had a lot of fun with that. So, as characters out on the street. And of course, the guy who played the royal prince for many years, once the king retired out there, he moved right up into that position in a couple of years. And he became the king, and I was Edmund Scroop, Duke of Abergavenny, Wales, master of the king's horse. So there you are. Steph says, if a headboard or cuffs aren't available, that's right. That's what ears are for. So, all right, come on now. Who wants to come in and chat with me? I can make up shit all night long. I can keep going forever. But you got to get tired of just hearing me talking because I'll veer off into all kinds of things. Pamela I was hot and I didn't really know it. I didn't think I was kennel bait, but man, some of those pictures of me out on the town, yikes. I looked really good, just saying. Pamela, you always looked good. And like I said, I went through that the other night. You were, in my estimation, way out of my league and untouchable. That's how hot you were. So, everybody, she was hot. And not that she's not now. I just haven't seen her in 35 years. Something like that, maybe more. I see your pictures, but you don't have any high school pictures up over on your Facebook, Pamela. You should put some of those up. So, yeah, good memories, Michelle Cannon Free. You're right. Those were the days. And I met Rainey out there when I was playing that character just a couple of years later. And we started dating. By the time that picture was taken, and I think that picture was taken in 2004. The picture I just showed you. We met in 2004. We started dating the next season out at the Renaissance Festival. So there you go. That's how time flies. So what else you got to talk about? Who's got something to talk about? 9:35 Central Standard Time. What's going on in your mind? What's new? Oh, not high school, but after. My last year at fourth was 10th grade. Oh, that's right. I think I kind of remember that now because you and other people weren't around after certain years in the youth group or anything. Were you part of the original Valley split from the church? I'm just curious. Not that anybody else knows what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, I remember Eric Thomas really well. So were you guys like a couple or something? Yep, you were a couple. Okay, I did not know that. Were you guys married or did you just date during that time? I'm curious. So Eric Thomas, I remember him. A lot of names from back then start flooding my mind right now. So people I didn't see for a while. Yep, you were part of the Valley split. I ended up going to Valley. Now we had a big folks. Those of you listening that aren't in the inside conversation with Pamela and me. Oh, you weren't. Oh no, you didn't date Eric Thomas. Okay. But the Valley split. There was a church schism in our big Fortress Baptist Church, Fourth Baptist Church. And that split was on not theological grounds, it was on church politics grounds. And oh, you had it bad for Eric Thomas. Oh, he's dead now. I did not know that. Pamela, I did not know. How long ago did he pass away? So, but our church split, and the split went and founded a new church, Valley Baptist Church. Now, Pamela, you were no longer at Valley, but after I went to college, I went to Valley Baptist Theological Seminary. And I was dating, as you know, at the time, and married her, Suzanne Shepard. And we were married for about 6 years, I think, from 1982 to 1988. And as most of my listeners who know things I've talked about in regard to that in context, we were married 6 years. She was my first wife. And then I was married again to the wife of the mother of my older children for about 12 years. And then we were divorced. And then I met Rainey 4 years after that, 5 years after that. And we were married for 21 years. So, man. Oh my, that took a quick turn from hot guy to cold guy. R.I.P. Eric. Nice stuff. You weren't a couple, says Pamela. I had it bad for him. He's dead now. That's sad to hear. There are a lot of our friends from that era that have passed on. This just reinforces the whole thing about today is one less day. What are you going to do with it? So, yes, Pamela, you're right. The split was over the senior high youth pastor. So that's what I lump it all in as church politics. And yeah, there was a senior high youth pastor. I happened to like him at the time. And I wasn't part of the split. I was just a dumb kid. What did I know? So all of that was going on. And I think they wanted him removed or resigned. Not because he did anything wrong, like it wasn't like a rapist or anything like that. They had a problem with his church politics. And so it ended up splitting the church. And they went and founded a different church, which is still standing. It's not in its original building now. It's way out, Pamela, out in Plymouth. So out toward, those of you who aren't from here won't know this, out toward Highway 55, I think, out toward Ridgedale Mall, which is on 12, not 55. So out in that region, that area. So yeah, I was never on the inside of all that, and I didn't understand any of it at the time. Just didn't care. I was a dumb kid. And it came up later when Suzanne and I started dating, and I started going to church with her, and I felt like I'm not supposed to be here. This is the split church, the schism people. And but I loved it, and went to seminary there. They started Dr. Charles Ailing, if you remember him. I've mentioned him on this show. Pamela, I'm sure, knows who he is. He went on to become the chair of history at Northwestern. And he was a mentor of mine in Egyptology. I believe he's still alive. We haven't talked in a few years now. But he retired. But he became the I think he was the president of the seminary. So that was pretty cool. And he recruited me. He says, you got to come and finish out your schooling here. And so I did. And I did 2 years at Valley Baptist Seminary, and then I went on into advertising. How about that? Where I stayed for 30 plus years. So I was the acting youth pastor at Valley Baptist during my seminary days. Although there were some people that didn't want me hired. Do you know why they didn't want me hired? One of the reasons was that I almost got expelled from Pillsbury Baptist Bible College. And I've told that story before. And I withdrew from college. I had some kid whose parents were, I don't know who they were. I couldn't even tell you names. It was at Valley Baptist. Some kid, like some 10-year-old snotty-nosed kid. I know what your secret is, he said to me in the hall when I'm rounding up kids for something. I go, oh, really? Well, good for you. And everybody thought it was some big secret that I had been expelled from the big Baptist Bible College. And it was no secret. I didn't keep it a secret. I said, anybody? I just told this kid, I said, you know what? You just tell your mom and dad, because I knew that's where he got that. Just tell your mom and dad. It's not a secret. Just, I don't wear it on a placard around my neck. But so I did youth work there. That was my first introduction into youth ministry. And so I did the junior high school and the high school while I was going to seminary. And I was told in no uncertain terms by Norm Shepard. That's a name you'll remember, Pamela. Not Suzanne's dad. He was Bob Shepard. But Norm Shepard told me, you are not the official youth pastor here. You're just an interim fill-in. But I did it for over a year. I was the youth pastor. I lined up all the youth activities. I taught all the youth classes. I'm talking youth, junior high school and up, 7th grade and up. And I spoke at church a couple of times. But I was not the official youth pastor. I was everything but hired by the church because Norm was like, I don't know what his deal was. He had to stick up his ass or something. Sorry if anybody in the Shepherd family is listening, you know, whatever. The Utes. Yeah, that's it. The Utes. And so not long after that, I went to Virginia. I worked in Virginia for a while. I ended up in Detroit a few years later. And I worked with the youth in Detroit at our church. And they wanted to hire me on. I did the same kind of thing. It was alongside my job in advertising. So I was like 2 full-time jobs almost. And then I took something back in Minneapolis that was going to move me back. I was opening up my own ad agency back in 1992 after my twin daughters were born. You know, my twin daughters, Abby and Bryn, the mermaid people, who are now in the 17th year of their company, Finfolk Productions. Go look up Finfolk if you want to see who they are. And so I moved back to Minneapolis. The church made a counteroffer. You know, we know you're going to start your own company and all of that and your own ad agency. If we could talk you into staying, what kind of salary would you need? They were asking me. And I told them. And they said, we can't go that high, but we can do this. And it was tempting. They tried to make a tempting offer to get me to stay on as youth pastor. And that was Emmaus. It was a Baptist church, but they weren't Baptist. They went more EV free, evangelical free after that. But Emmaus Baptist Church in Novi or Livonia, Michigan. So that was tempting. I had a great time with those kids, those high school kids, and it was pretty cool. So let's see. I mean, you hope he was okay afterwards. I'm not sure what you're talking to there. Steph. Jack Wagon. Now, you're using Jack Wagon as a derogatory, I'm sure. Are you referring to the youth pastor that the split was over? He was a Jack Wagon? Is that what you're saying? Was it you who told me here that he's suffering from dementia now? He's got to be in his. If I'm 65, how much older than us was he? He was a young man, but I thought he said he graduated from Pillsbury College in like 1967 or something like that, which would have been 11 years before I graduated high school. So he's got to be at least. Oh, Norm? Yeah. Norm was a jackwagon. That's for sure. And no offense to anybody, to Suzanne or anybody out there. So, yeah, but our old youth pastor in question here, was it you that told me, Pamela? You and Norm didn't get along, or you and the youth pastor? We didn't get on much. Yeah, there's a lot of people I know that did not get along with the youth pastor. Maybe you didn't get along with Norm either. I don't know. Is that anything like Chuck Wagon? Something like that. So, hey, have you noticed again, knock on wood, my microphone has not gone out all night. That's pretty good. And I'm still in the right spot with it. So is it broadcasting on the right microphone? It certainly is. So you've got tone and resonance. Oh, the youth pastor. Yeah. You didn't get along. A lot of people didn't get along with him. I got along pretty well with him. But I was one of those kids. So only talked to him once or twice after I moved away from Fourth Baptist and all of that. And I talked to him. Kent McCune and I were starting a little publishing company back in 91, 92. And that youth pastor, I spoke with him because I needed to get some tales of Camp Clearwaters, which was our church camp. And we called our little publishing company Bent Nail Press. And I wanted to get the story of Bent Nail, which was one of the geographic locations at this 500-acre ranch or 500-acre camp that the church had. And it was a Phantom Pool and Bent Nail and all those places. So I called him up and we talked. That's the last time I think we spoke. And he was one that would tell me that you shouldn't hang around with Kent McCune. He's not a good person. He's got to get his heart right with the Lord, kind of thing. And I said, Kent's my friend. And I wasn't as confrontational back then as I am now. Oh, my God. Where would I be? I asked, you ever wish you could go back a few years? There are times I fantasize. I wish I could go back to the days of my youth and my young adulthood, having the confidence and the things I know now. I mean, holy crap. I wouldn't have put up with a lot of shit. I can tell you that. So, yep, he was a pretty judgmental guy. I see the judgmental. I'll meet your judgmental, and I'll raise you a legalistic. Folks, if you don't know what legalism is, this was that youth pastor. This was that church in general. Very legalistic. It was kind of like the way I used to describe it. You had a list that were the things you do in your life to be inside of God's will. Then there was a list of the things you do that put you outside God's will. And we were more focused on the things that put you outside of God. Going to movies, dancing, smoking, drinking, lists like that. And I called it. We were a prison bar Christianity is what I called it. Referred to it as once I went to college, and the Bible college, and I said, "This is not the way to live. This is not who God is." God doesn't judge us or make us sick or take our kids away, let our kids die or something because he's trying to get our attention. Oh, you sinned, so I'm going to take something from you. Or you sinned, I'm going to punish you in this life. I don't think God works that way. God is a God of grace. And he will send things your way to teach you where he wants you to be. And I had a very strong aversion to that type of Christianity. And that's what led me out of it. And I'll tell you, Pamela, you'll like this one. Everybody else, you may have heard this story before. When I was in Detroit, I went to another big church that was a lot like the Fourth Baptist Church. Big Baptist edifice, inner city Baptist church. I went there because my friend Kent lived in Detroit and worked there, had moved down there years earlier. And so I went there because my friend went there. And there were so many things that I had a huge problem with in that church. Well, anyway, Pamela says, to be fair, there were a lot of kids and we did need structure. But the judgment, that was what really turned me off. I get it, Pamela. I get it. I understand that. Even when I was a youth pastor, I had things I had to establish so we had structure. But I was not as judgmental or legalistic as the Fourth Baptist Church. But here I was at Inner City Baptist Church. This is right around 1990. And Kent McCune and I, a good friend from high school, we were college roommates at Pillsbury Baptist Bible College. He and I sang high-powered duets. Even when we were in high school, we would sing. I remember there was a night, remember, Pamela, when they did Sunday nights after the Sunday evening service, all the youth would gather for what they called Singspiration. And there was a big room. I don't remember what it was called. Maybe it was just called Fellowship Hall or something. Had a fireplace in it and had banquets and things in there. But that's where we would gather. Well, there was one day, Kent and I had been working out in the gym, shooting hoops and stuff like that on a Saturday. And it's now in the evening. We're going to get out of there. But we went and we hopped in the showers in the locker room. Kent's over in the next stall to me, and we're singing. He goes, hey, Scotty, let's sing such and such. So we sing it. And the proximity of the shower, the locker room, and the gymnasium were right across the hall from the fellowship hall. And Carla, talk about judgment. I got divorced, and it was awful. Carla McCune is here. I'm talking about you right now, you and your brother. Remember the rock music seminars? Yes, I do. We were told to bring I don't think we ever did a bonfire at our church, but there was one of those where the rock music seminars, it's all evil. It's the stuff of the devil, the backmasking. Satan speaks through, Kiss and things like that, and burn your record albums, whatever. We didn't do the rock. We didn't do the burnings. But I think we fell short of doing that. So, hey, look, I got Pamela Zaspel. I got Carla. Carla, I was going to call you the other night, and it got too late. I didn't know how late you were up in your garage. So if you're up later, maybe I'll give you a shout tonight. All depends on how late you stay up. So, yeah, Pam and Carla know each other. Anyway, your brother Kent and I, we were singing in the locker room. It was maybe 5, 6 in the evening. And it's right next door to the fellowship hall. And does anybody remember, Carla, do you remember what was the name of the room where we had Singspiration? Was it Fellowship Hall across from the old gymnasium at Fourth Baptist? I've just got Fellowship Hall in my head. But Kent and I are singing, and we're singing something high-powered. It had that tone of, now sing we joyfully unto God. We sing so joyfully unto God. To God, so joyfully unto God. so joyfully unto God. I can't even do it now because my throat is all hacked up. But Kent and I were singing like that. It's echoing in the shower. And somebody told us the next morning at church, did you know that there was a big meeting of, I don't know what meeting it was. It was one of the adult classes or something. There were like 50, 60 people in that fellowship hall right next to the showers. And we could be heard all through that. And people were like, I think there was one point where people applauded. And we didn't hear that because we're in the showers. And we're just singing. Stuff like that. Real high-powered stuff like that. So I don't know. There wasn't a point with that story other than to say that's what we did. Kent and I sang. Carla was her older brother, is her older brother. And Carla and I were in the same class in high school. So, folks, if you remember me saying there was somebody in high school that had the, we didn't have homecoming per se at our school because, that was the youth pastor thing. He didn't like sports competition in the school, but she was a cheerleader and she would have been the equivalent of the homecoming queen and a Playboy centerfold. But ching. That's the way we thought of Carla. And so Carla and I have been friends for years. 40, you think of it now? 40 years. We graduated 48 years ago from high school. Oh, I sang at your first wedding. That's right. Carla, I remember that. Kent and I sang a duet, and it's, the song is in my head. It was a black Christian artist. I'm trying to think of the name of the song that we did. And man, I remember that weekend so well. Such a good time. Had the hots for your cousin that weekend at the wedding. But Kent and I sang, what was the name of the song? Do you remember, Carla? The name of that song. It'll come to me if I think about it long enough. I wish I could remember the guy's name. Andre Crouch, that's right. Do you remember the name of the song? No, Rapid Dog. It wasn't I Knew the Bride When She Used to Rock and Roll. Nancy James. You're somebody else from that era of my past. Nancy James is a dear friend of mine since I was in high school. She and her husband ran that little publishing company I told you about where they reprinted old theological books. I was hired by them to do ink drawings for book covers, dust jackets. And then they moved to Lynchburg, Virginia, and they hired me to come out to Lynchburg, Virginia. That was that story I was talking about. Nancy, I was telling the story about the guy that came to fix the air conditioning. You had all gone to lunch, and I was only at the shop for about a month at that point, and I couldn't understand him, and because of his accent. But Nancy said, I remember you singing. Wasn't the song leader? Yeah, Lou Schaefer was the song leader. When I finally met him the first time close up, I thought he had the face of a horse. No, he did kind of. But he had a huge round face. Big round face horse. He said, I don't know if anybody else ever had that impression, but still laugh about that for a first close up to really speak to him personally. That's funny. Oh, I understand, Carla. If you try to block that out. I'm just wondering what the song was. The Andre Crouch song that we sang at your wedding. It was a pretty song. I will say that. So, and if I try to remember, there was a note in that was so high for me, I had to keep practicing that to try to hit that note without breaking my voice. It was like a high A or something. And I was more tenor back then than I am now. Age and crustiness and decay and whatever you want to throw on a debauch has changed my voice. I'm not as tenory as I used to be. So, wow, this is old school night here. We got Carla, we got Pamela, and we got Nancy. So Nancy was kind of my boss, but we were all friends too, and we have great memories I have with Bill and Nancy James. And so they're now retired and up on the. Aren't you at Cape May now? But they were in Lynchburg, Virginia, and hired me to come down there in 1984 was when I went to Lynchburg. So, yeah, I get it, Carla. I get it. Stuff we try to block out. Not because we're trying to blank on it. We just don't want to think about it anymore. I get that. I understand it. So what? Are we going to have nobody call in tonight? What's with you people? Oh, Southport, North Carolina, Nancy. Okay. Here is the link again. Anybody wants to call into the show? Like last night? Randy Miller. What are you all listening? Randy Miller's from my past too, folks. Randy Miller did radio. KTIS radio. Or did you do KTIS or were you just Pillsbury? And then the radio voice of, you were down in Lynchburg at Liberty University down there. Let's see. You were very nerve. I always got in trouble for making out at Camp Clearwaters. How about that note? Nice. Yep. Thinking of Lou Schaefer. Yep, that's who that was, Randy. I mentioned his name. Lou Schaefer, and then there was Luann Schaefer. I remember her. And she was married to, I want to say Craig. I might be wrong. Very clean-cut dude, and he was like something with the Dean of Men or something at Pillsbury, and he was one of those guys that had that kind of, oh, you're a Baptist minister, aren't you? Was the way he came across. KRPC and WCTS. There you go. Yep, that's him. Look at this, folks. Look at all these people from my past. Yeah, we always got that. Scotty, every time you say Pillsbury, I hear that little doughboy laugh. Well, what Pillsbury was, it was a really cool-looking campus. But it was the old, founded by Pillsbury, who, was the doughboy and everything you think of Pillsbury. That was a military academy that was founded by him. And then when it was bought, if I got my history right, my chronology, it was bought by the Minnesota Baptist Association or something. And they turned it into the Bible College, and they just kept the name Pillsbury. It had one of these beautiful old buildings with a big tower on it, built, over 100 years ago, and gorgeous old building. Greg Much, that was him. Yep, that was him, Carla. Married to Luann Schaefer. Look at this, guys. I've got 4 people from my past inhabiting this chat room tonight. Now, those of you who have not been here before, my friends, my old friends, we do the captain's log, and then we, like we did with Intrepid Radio, I do an hour radio on the station, then we'd cut off when my show is over, and we'd stay live in YouTube and chat for another hour or two. Again, it was dubbed the Captain's Cabin, the after show. And so that's what we've kind of picked that up this last week. We've only been doing this segment after the Captain's Cabin for about 5 days now. So this is where everybody comes in. Lou Schaefer was fantastic as the song leader. Yes, he was. And he was big with like Minnesota Fabrics was his job, wasn't it? He was kind of a well-to-do dude higher up in Minnesota Fabrics. So... yeah, I imagine the buildings were all made out of cake and brownie mixes. Yeah, there you go. No, it was more they kept more of the military academy aspect than the guy who founded the baking goods. So, Al Potter was the best time. I agree, Pamela. Really liked Al Potter. He was the, what would you call, middle school, the junior high youth pastor. And he became the president of Pillsbury Baptist Bible College long after my time there. Probably the best thing that happened to Pillsbury. And eventually, it still went defunct. But remember the state fair? Yes, I do. I've talked about that. The Himalayan ride, and Kent got sick and yacked on the stairs. Got mad at the guy because he made the ride too long. Yeah, I remember the state fair. Carla and her older brother Kent, her other older brother Kevin, and our mutual friend Gail, we would meet every summer. Kent and Carla would come up from out of town to Minneapolis, and we'd go to the state fair, Minnesota State Fair. That was a tradition for us. And I think the last year we did that, wasn't it? The year The Horse Whisperer came out with Robert Redford in the movie, Scarlett Johansson, her first movie. That was, and we were at the Mall of America where we saw it, and we went to eat at the Mall of America restaurants, and we did the state fair. I think that was the last year we actually all got together for that. That's how long ago that was. So, yeah, Al Potter got us. He was not judgy. Al Potter knew his shit. And he knew what he was doing. And he was tuned in. That's why he was such a good president at Pillsbury. So, LaToya, it's my birthday, Scotty. Well, happy birthday, LaToya 693-W9X. I don't know who you are off the top of my head. If you used to come into the shows before, I've forgotten your moniker and who you may really be beneath that moniker. So sorry, no offense. It's just me. So it's your birthday. So happy birthday. We went and watched the Brady Bunch in concert. I felt so convicted because I thought I was at a rock concert, right? That was the way our youth pastor was at that church. And you were like, I don't want anybody to see me here because I'm in a den of iniquity. So, yes, I do, Scotty. Yes, you do what? What did I ask you? I asked if I knew you, and you said, yes, I do. You're welcome, LaToya. Good to have you here. I'm sorry I don't remember who you are by that moniker. My bad. And so, this has been kind of nice since we've been doing now the captain's cabin here. After the captain's log, I've got all my old-time show people coming back in. And now tonight, big night for all my old-time friends. Sorry, old-time friends. All my old friends. So, Nancy said, hey, Scotty, do you remember when we went to see Star Wars over in St. Paul because we were afraid somebody would see us in Minneapolis? Yes, that's the way we were forced to live. Our church was in Minneapolis, so we went all the way to St. Paul to watch the movie Star Wars so nobody from our church might see us going into a movie theater. Yep. I don't dance, drink, smoke, or chew, or hang around with those who do. Carla, Steve Brown, your brother, and I, Kent, we all made up a song at Pillsbury. Now, mind you, folks, we went to Pillsbury Baptist Bible College in 1978 was my freshman year. So you're talking late 70s. You're talking kind of the end of the hippie era, if you will, for lack of a better description. Guys had long hair and, you wear your shirts open and all the rules at Pillsbury for guys, your hair couldn't touch your ears and you couldn't have facial hair and you had to have the haircut, and they would come and check the length of your hair. They would check the length of girls' skirts to make sure that they were only 2 fingers above the knee? It was all the higher it could be, or was it 2 fingers below the knee? I don't remember. Again, very legalistic. But in that era, we were sitting in our dorm room one day and we were all hanging out and we made up this song. And it went like this. I just remembered this the other day. It said, yeah, Carla, he sure was yummy. I'm sure from a female perspective. So there's that. So this song went, the rich young ruler came one day to ask about the narrow way, but his hair was too long, and I would go, too long, and he couldn't be saved. No, he couldn't be saved. Oh, glory. If your hair is too long, there's sin in your heart. Get it cut today and make a new start. Make a new start. Oh, glory. So that's the way that went. That's all I remember of it. Nancy James says at Pillsbury, we couldn't wear slacks and it was freezing out, cold. Yeah, that's right. You had to wear dresses, skirts. I mean, what? I didn't see Jesus ever say, your hair's got to be a certain length and you've got to wear skirts only. And this is what I mean about church politic. It was not biblical information, although they made it sound like biblical information. It was church preference by a bunch of old farts that ran that institution. So, slacks. There's an old word, isn't it? So, those were interesting days. And like I say, I almost got expelled because they had a demerit system. That demerit system was you could get demerits for different things. And a demerit, if you had 100 demerits accumulated in one semester, you could be campused, meaning you couldn't leave campus without a pass from the Dean of Men. And if you had a job, you had to get a special pass. And 150 demerits, and you were what they called shipped or expelled within one semester. Now, I remember one semester I had accumulated so many demerits. It wasn't even midterms yet, and I was at 148 demerits. 2 demerits away from getting expelled. And I was going to withdraw. And I had the president. You remember the president, Carla? Because he was a friend of your dad's and the family, Dr. Rommel. And he had me in his office, and he was kind of teary-eyed, and he said, Scotty, I know you can make it. We'll help you make it through. And what I wanted to say wasn't you eliminate the stupid demerit system. Because the demerits I had that were going to expel me, one of them was well-deserved by their standards. The rest was a bunch of tripe. I had like 10 demerits because my hair hit the top of my ears once. I had 15 demerits because I was playing guitar at one of the what do we call them? Society gatherings out on the lawn. And I had 2 buttons open on my shirt instead of just one. I got 15 demerits for that. I had 4 library books late by a day. They were 10 demerits apiece. I got 40 demerits for late library books. One day. Now you lump that in with, now what have I done wrong or immoral yet or anti-God? None of those things. But I'm already at, what would that be? 40, 50, 65 demerits right there just in those things. You could get a demerit because while you were at chapel, the dorm monitors would come by and they'd check for dust. If you hadn't dusted, that was 3 demerits. If you hadn't made your bunk, that was 10 demerits or something like some really stupid stuff. And so I was dating a woman named Suzanne Shepard back at that time. And we were in an art class together. I was the first art major they had. They started the art major program. And I think Suzanne was as well. We were the first 2 art majors. And so the teacher left us alone in the classroom. We were down in the basement of Kelly Hall, for those of you from Pillsbury know. And that's where our art room was, where he held class. And well, he had to go run some errands, and he said, "You guys just keep working on what you're working on, and I'll see you tomorrow." Well, at the end of class, we were getting ready to go to chapel in a different building, cold outside, middle of winter. And we were throwing on our coats. And I leaned over and I gave her a kiss. Just a simple little kiss on the lips. She kissed back, by the way. She liked me. And as our lips are touching, who walks in the room? The professor. We kind of jumped back, and he didn't say anything. He just kind of looked at us. And we left for chapel. Well, the next day, later in the afternoon, I had another course with him. And I came in, he says, I kind of know what was going on there today. He says, I understand. I'm not, listen to this language, I'm not going to turn you in for demerits. He says, just don't do it again. Okay. Well, the next day in class, he said, he talked to me, and he said, I had to turn you in. I couldn't sleep last night. His conscience bothered him because he had not turned me in for my infraction of kissing my girlfriend. Mind you, we weren't shagging on a table. We were kissing with our coats on. Not making out. It wasn't feeling each other's tonsils with our tongues. It was a quick mwah on the lips, and so he turned us in because he couldn't, his conscience wouldn't let him not turn us in. And I looked at him and I said, I called him by his first name. I said, Joe, I said, I hope you sleep better tonight. And so we went into, we had to go before the discipline committee because this is a lot of demerits. So I don't remember how many I got, but at first I denied the severity of it. And of course, they brought us in separately. It was like police interrogation in front of a board of old people. So did you kiss your girl? No. Well, she said you did. Suzanne, we should have talked about this ahead of time, got our stories straight. And so I got demerits for kissing my girlfriend, then an extra number of demerits for lying. Yeah, another jackwagon, you're right. So, yeah, that was me, Michelle, ever the rapscallion. So, yeah, I got so many demerits. I was 2 demerits away from getting expelled before midterms. So I withdrew. And I still had another year of my bachelor's to finish. I was a junior at this time. And so that's when Dr. Ailing recruited me for seminary, Valley Baptist Theological Seminary. He said, we'll tutor you in the balance of your credits you need for your bachelor's as well as start your master's program in systematic theology. Okay, let's do it. And I went for 2 years. I never finished that degree either. So I am basically, what I like to say, in my first book that was published on the Nephilim, I put in the foreword, I think it was the foreword or the introduction, the foreword. And I said, some of you may ask what credentials I have to speak about these things. And I said, I have the credentials of, at the time, 35 to 40 years of research. I said, but I possess only a high school diploma. And that's where I am today. I have a high school diploma. I went to college for 3 years, never graduated. I went to seminary to get my master's, started my master's work without having finished my bachelor's. They were tutoring me in that. Then I withdrew from all of that and went into advertising as a creative director. And that's where I spent my years after that. And so I've got a high school diploma, and that's all I've gotten. and it's never held me up. I can tell you that. It's never stopped my research. Yeah, perfect response. Another jackwagon. Yeah, some of these people we had to deal with. I remembered one guy. He was the wrestler, a wrestling coach. And he had this squished broken nose. It's like this. Came down into a little ball, squished in. So, yes, Michelle, I pivoted. So all of that, I'm still doing all the talking here. Nobody's calling in. So I was not fully indoctrinated. You will be assimilated into our collective. And frankly, when I left all of that, that's what all of my good Christian friends in that system, I was either not born again, oh, you weren't really saved, or you're a backslider, come back to the Lord. And my other friends who had also left were like, whew, we got out of there. And we still, our belief system didn't change, but our practice changed immensely. Hazewinkle, that's it. I knew it was a name like that. And I mean, he was a perfect name for him. He and his brother, did he have a twin brother or just a brother that wrestled with him? They were like, weren't they like Olympic wrestlers or something like that? But yeah, resistance is futile, Pamela. Jim Hazewinkle was the guy. And you think of his last name, he looked like a Hazewinkle. You know, he had this little thing, his crushed in nose. And yeah, he had that look. So, not to insult anybody for their looks, he just had that kind of look. So, yeah, it was him, and there was the Dean of Women, white-haired Dean of Women, a twin. Yeah, he did have a twin brother. There it is. And a couple of other people on that board. And I just remember feeling like, no, you want us here to teach us things, but you're here and this rule system you have and this demerit system and all of this was so detrimental. And that's why, Randy, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you were there for a little while. Al Potter, when he came into the presidency of Pillsbury, did he not eliminate all of that? Did he not eliminate the demerit system? Because he got kids where they were at. Lillian Payne, yeah, Mrs. Payne, yeah, I remember her. Don't think we didn't make fun of her name. We used to try to thwart her. We go to if you wanted to go on a date, you had to have a pass from the Dean of Women. A guy did. That said you could date the woman. And if you were going to go anywhere off campus, you needed a chaperone. So you had to bring another woman along. And Jerry Armitage, good to see you too, Jerry. Nice to thank you. It's rare that we do these longer shows. We just started this a few days ago after the captain's log. So glad you're here. And so you could go, it was almost like the duty-free place to date. You could go to the main floor lounge of the women's dorm where Mrs. Payne had her office with a big glass window in it, and you could sit and have a date there. And without a chaperone. The dating parlor, they called it. Yeah, he switched to fines for truly moral issues. There you go, yes. If it was a big deal, you got fined. You didn't get demerits. But all these little piddly squat things you get demerits for, like 2 buttons open on my shirt, he did away with that stuff. He was not a legalist. What happened to Al Potter? Is he still around? I thought I heard he was pastoring a church in Pennsylvania or something. Years ago was the last I heard. But in the dating parlor, we used to like to see how far we could go. So you'd sit with your date on one of the sofas. You couldn't cuddle. You had to have there was like a 6-inch rule, believe it or not. So we'd take our coats in the winter or whatever, sweaters, whatever, we'd throw them over our laps. We'd hold hands under the coat. Oh, were we sneaky. And every now and then you'd get Mrs. Payne going, from her glass window. She's in and we're like, hands free. We're not doing nothing. So anyway, that brings back just dark memories of those times. I got to tell you, we made our own. Oh, okay. I'm going to tell you this. Yeah, so scandalous. Oh, you held hands beneath a jacket. Scandalous. Well, there was one time where it was Kent, Carla's brother, my friend Kent, and our roommate Steve Brown, the dreamy Steve Brown. He was the center on our football team, and everything that implies with what you think of the square-jawed, good-looking dude, wavy-haired center on the football team. But he left Pillsbury. He went on to law school, and I can't remember where it was. It'll come to me in a minute. Very familiar, but there was one day, and Randy, you're the only one I worry about hearing this a little bit, but not too worried. Worried, but not worried. There was one day where Kent and Steve and there might have been one other guy. I can't remember who it was. We drove out. There was some lake out there in Owatonna where the school was. It was winter. It was snow. Steve was wearing, I remember, a camel-colored top coat. And we drove out to the lake. And Randy says Al Potter, he worked for John MacArthur, pastor in New York. Now he's at Shepherd Seminary in Raleigh. Oh, that's cool. Ball State. That's it, Ball State. There was another one, though, that started with a P. No. Valparaiso. Didn't he go to Valparaiso as well? Or he started at Valparaiso and went to Ball State? Something like that. So there was one day, think of all these rules that we were subject to, that we were there, frankly, of our own free will. Many kids were there. I had one kid tell me, I came to Pillsbury because my parents said they wouldn't pay for any of my schooling unless I went to Pillsbury Baptist Bible College. So they went to Pillsbury. So we went out one night. It was a wintry night. I don't know how late it was because you had to have a pass if you were going to be out past 10 o'clock. You had to have permission from the Dean of Men. So it was before 10 o'clock. But we drove out to the lake, the park. We were out in the woods, standing on the shore of this lake. And Randy, I know where you stand on things, so cover your ears if you're sensitive. But I know you better than that, too. You're pretty open. But we stood there. Mind you, this is 1979, I think, 78 or 79. And I remember Steve was the first to start. He said, we've come out here for one. And he had a Muncie, and he was from Muncie, Indiana. So he had that Muncie, Indiana drawl. And he says, we've come out here for one reason, boys. No, it was not to skinny dip, not to polar plunge. He turns toward the lake and he yells, fuck! And it was echoing across the lake. We were far enough from the school that, nobody could hear us. Then Kent did the same. I did the same. And we were yelling swear words just because it was a place we could actually do it and get it out of our... No, we didn't smoke pot. We weren't drinking. We didn't do anything bad except release foul language. That was as bad as we got. And so that's what we did. So swear therapy. Swearapy. There it is. So that's how we released one day. We were so... And I don't think any of the leadership ever really knew that that's what this did to those kids out there. I had a Muncie transmission in a 67 Camaro. Right on, Rapid Dog. I don't know what any of that means. I know what a transmission is, though. So, anyway, since none of you have called in, I'm very disappointed in you. I'm going to send you to your beds tonight without supper. This is the time where you get to call into the show and we yap and we talk. Of course, remember in the we were villainous. When we did the Captain's Cabin after Intrepid Radio, there was always Uncle Dave was always here, Dave Potter, the late Dave Potter, and Ruben Fasthorse was here. Professor Bauer was here. Oh, now that I'm going to end the show, he'll show up. That's the way he always did. And Jason used to come in and we'd talk. So, and Sarah, and she's not here tonight. So, and then everybody else would call in. So we had a great time. That's what this time is for, folks, for you to call in, share your stories, talk about the show tonight. You can chat. We can pull them off. I'll pull them off the chat and I'll tell the stories. So, yeah, release was good for the soul. So, there we go. I got nothing else for tonight. I could talk about nothing forever. So, I think we're going to cut this off. This is Friday night. Yeah, peeps have plans. Well, look at all the people that did come in. People I did not know. I knew Pamela would be here. I hoped she would, because I wanted to show her my shirt. Wait, what was the line? Do you all remember the first Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark? When Belloc, the bad guy, has Marion in the tent, captive. And he pulls out a white dress. And he says the famous line from that. Now get this, folks. This is to Pamela. I would very much like to see you in this. That was his line to Marion. Pulls out the white dress. I'd very much like to see you in this. And her retort was, I'll bet you would. So there you go. Boom. Star Trek t-shirt. No time for love, Dr. Jones. So, unless anybody wants to come in at the last minute here and revive the end of the show into something longer than it is. So, yeah, whip crack. And Pamela says, smiley faces. Eula. So, all right, guys, let's call it quits for tonight then. Tomorrow's Saturday, I may or may not do. I waffle on Saturday and Sunday Captain's Logs. But I may do one. We may come in tomorrow. It all depends on how busy I am. This is my life. Rainey stopped by with her friend that's living with them now and my kids earlier tonight to drop something off for me. They were going shopping. They stopped by and had a smoke with me. And so that's it. That's been the whole of my social time this week. So skip Saturday, it's Sunday morning. Feel guy, I'd have to get up and do a show in the morning then. I don't know if I want to do Sunday morning. So, hey, just for fun before we go, I can play that. This was the opener for Sunday morning. This was our Sunday morning show. It's Sunday. Went like this. Watch this, guys. So you all remember that? Yeah, that was our It's Sunday program. We did it every Sunday at 9 a.m. Those were good shows. And what else can I show you? Just on the way out the door tonight, just because it's fun to do. Oh, here was the This was the opening to the captain's cabin. So there you go. That was the captain's cabin. All y'all. All y'all. I don't know, Steph. I may make a different one for the new captain's cabin. Or we may reincorporate that. You know, life has changed. It's a new era. I'll do you one more because Wendy and I, Wendy Robertson, my dear friend in London, we are thinking of reviving, not thinking of, we're going to revive Robertson. And I have a show opener for that. Which one is the right one here, though? Let's try this one. Here we go. I think this is it. Wendy put together a little teaser of all the pictures of us doing our show headers and stuff. I think this is what it is. 36 seconds. Here we go. For Robertson. There you go. So there you go, folks. That's coming up soon again. We'll do Robertson. And there you go. That's all I got for tonight. I could go out on my ad that Rainey and my daughter, now 14-year-old daughter, Rowan, recorded 10 years ago. And this was I updated the ad, but I kept their voiceover. We'll go out on that tonight. And I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for being here. If you want to, okay, I got to put this in. You want to donate to this show? I'll take it. You can do it over on YouTube during the show. You can hit the super chat or something like that and donate. Leslie Holker did that the other night. Or you can go over to my Patreon page. Just look me up, Scotty Roberts over there. And or it might be under Intrepid Radio. I don't know which. And you can help keep this show going. Boom! All right, we're going to go out on my old ad. I believe it's still in here. Yes, there it is. And I'll see you next time.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hi, my dad.